Hey guys, and welcome to Achieve with Carolina Live. I'm Carolina Romaniuk, child and family sleep specialist, and I help parents to get a good night's sleep and to understand their children's sleep needs better. So tonight we're going to be talking about a really interesting topic, and it is something that most parents have to deal with. Wow, we're getting a lot of people on right now, so I'm really excited. And before I begin, let me know in the comments below, does your little one have a pacifier? Do they use one? Are you experiencing trouble right now weaning from one? So let me know in the comments below. Hey Angelica, thanks for joining. So let me know in the comments below, everyone that's signing on. Wow, we're getting a lot of people right off the bat. Yay! I'm excited. Tonight's going to be a big night. Make sure to grab your pens, paper, crayons, eyeshadow, whatever that can make, writing for yourself that you can keep notes on. And, I'm gonna be giving you a lot of juicy info. So like I said, let me know in the comments below if your little one is having trouble with eliminating the Paci. Have you became the replugger for nighttime? Meaning, do you always have to go in and keep plugging in that pacifier to your little one because it keeps coming out all the time? Have you tried eliminating the pacifier and it just hasn't been kind of good for you? Are you scared to start? Because sometimes I do get that from parents, that you kind of make up this story in your head that it's going to be really, 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 really bad, like really bad, and it's never as bad as it is in our own heads. So tonight I wanted to break it down, make it nice and easy for you. I have it organized. I wrote it down nicely on a sheet for myself. So I'm going to be going down through a bunch of the bullet points that I wanted to make sure that I hit. And then at the end, if you guys have any questions, please comment. If you know someone at this point right now that is having trouble with eliminating the pacifier or has been asking questions about it and they really don't know what to do, make sure to share this right below. I know who's sharing, and I love you guys, and thank you so much for liking my videos, for sharing my videos, and for participating in them. So let's get on with the video. Now, as we know, pacifiers are introduced at a young age, right? So pacifier is known as a soother or a dummy. They have lots of names to them, but those are the most common ones. And that's their role. Their role is to be a soother and to be sort of a dummy effect for breastfeeding. Now, one important factor is I want you to understand is that if you are breastfeeding your little one, it's usually not recommended for the first several months of life to not introduce a pacifier, because then that will affect the latching on to the breast with that. So you don't really want to use a pacifier at that part. Now, with the first portion with pacifiers is that they can be also considered as lifesavers, but also sleep ruiners, right? So give me a thumbs up if you agree on that part. So pacifiers can go off of two ways. One, they can be a complete huge lifesaver for you, or they can just completely destroy sleep, where your little one is always waking up when the pacifier just falls out of their mouth, and then you have to come in running in and trying to put it back in to protect the rest of the family so they'll be sleeping, right? So if you have become the replugger, or you find yourself doing the Paci dance, putting it back in their mouth all the time, and you're doing it all night long, then this video is totally for you. Or if you know of someone that is in need of this video, please share it again. So everyone that's signing on, we're going to be talking tonight strictly about pacifiers. So when I'm done with the chat, make sure if you have any questions about what I was talking about or any type of specific questions for yourself, make sure to comment right below. And if you're watching the replay, I love you. Thank you so much for watching the replay, and make sure to put in any comments that you have also, because I will be able to respond that way too. Or you could private message me, whichever way you feel more comfortable with. So let's begin. Now, why are pacifiers great? right? There are a couple of reasons. I wanted to go over two main ones on why pacifiers are awesome. I use Pacis. Me and my hubby, we kind of fought about it because he was so nervous that he didn't want our kids to be like 8 years old walking around with a pacifier in their mouth. So we kind of had to, mesh on that, and obviously I won on that aspect and we were using the pacifier for a certain amount of time. Now the AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, usually they recommend to have a pacifier for at least the first year of your child's life, to help with the SIDS prevention on that. To protect it against it, not really to prevent SIDS. So that's one part on why pacifiers are great. The second one is it helps babies to soothe themselves and to satisfy the sucking reflex that kids do start to get. So that usually happens around 6 to 7 months is when they start to get the chewing ability that they have. Now the chewing experiences with the tongue and the facial muscles, the chewing exercises with the tongue and the facial muscles, which in turn helps to promote the speech. So that's important for that, but you don't want them to be constantly chewing on it because then it will affect their speech and the other skills that they would need oral-wise. So newborns, when they use the pacifier, it promotes sucking reflex, and in coordination with the sucking, the swallowing, and the breathing. So that's why it's so important that the AAP recommends to use the pacifier for those specific reasons on that. I'm going to try and look down so you don't get like the glare on from the lights that I have. Thanks for liking. So again, if you like this video, please like it and share it so we can get more people on, so we can also share this information and this wealth of knowledge with our friends, with our family, and anyone else in the community of motherdom or fatherdom, to help them with any type of ease in eliminating the pacifier, because this is something really important, and I know that majority of parents do go through this, not just only on the sleep topic, but as well as pacifiers too. So continuing, because this is going to be a lot of stuff that I want to give you tonight. Now we are going to be talking about why are pacifiers not so great, right? We just spoke about the two reasons on why they are wonderful. Now I want to talk about why they are not that wonderful. So one is the risk of nipple confusion if introduced at an early age with the baby regarding towards breastfeeding, right? That's what I was mentioning before. Two is an overzealous Paci sucker might change the palate alignment of their teeth, and it might delay speech. So that's the second reason. So just to be cognizant and to be aware of that, it's really important to understand that if they are using the pacifier, that they're using it for certain techniques and not to use it as a, how should I say this, as a comforting blanket, so to speak. You want them to use the pacifier for specific reasons, and one is a soother, or two is really, really good, like I was mentioning, the dummy, which means if you are breastfeeding your little one and let's say you're trying to get away from the breastfeeding, it's really good to use that as one aspect. The other part is it may cause sleep disturbances as well. So what that means with the sleep disturbances is, for an example, remember how I was mentioning to you that you might become the replugger. So if you become the replugger, that means that, let's say in the middle of the night, your little one does wake up a couple of times, and then the pacifier just flies right out, and then they start crying and screaming, and you don't know what to do. You run in, you give them the pacifier, right? 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, the same thing happens all over again. They start crying, you come in, you replug. Another 40 minutes, same thing. And it just keeps going back and forth like that for, could be up until 2 hours. So if you become the replugger and they're having a hard time keeping themselves in nice, deep, consolidated sleep, and they still need that pacifier in order to help them go to sleep, then you really have to start rethinking your strategy on that. So that's one huge reason in why most parents are usually wondering, should I even get rid of the pacifier? Should I not? It helps them, but I always have to keep running in and always replugging them all the time. So if that's the situation, then that is a problem. And I would want you to create a plan for yourself and how you're going to do that. And that's what we're going to be talking about soon. So let me continue on with the rest of the lesson, right? So how do I know if the Paci got to go, right? So there were a couple of reasons that I was mentioning before, but the main one, and what I want to repeat, is if you become the replugger. That's kind of how you really know if you need to eliminate the pacifier. Hey Karen, hi Laura Lee. Oh, this is totally happening to you? Yeah, so this happens to a lot of people. I mean, it happened to me, it happened to lots of our friends, plenty of my little clients. So this is normal, it's part of the process. Now I'm going to be talking about something really important in understanding when to ditch the pacifier. Right? Understanding the development within the ages and what happens around that time is really important. And that is when you kind of understand if you've let's say if your little one is too little right now and you want to prevent this from happening, this is really good for you. If you are right now experiencing the replugging and having problems with your kids eliminating the pacifier, then there are other techniques that we're going to be talking about that later. Hey Bridget! So Karen, you're saying yeah, so awesome. I'm happy that this is a must-watch video for you. So let's continue on listening, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in, and then I'm going to answer them towards the end. I just kind of want to go through this, make sure that you have pen and paper with you too, or you can rewatch the video afterwards and jot things down, so you can just listen to me right now and then just type in any questions that you have. Again, please feel free to share, love this video if you do. It's important, not just for myself, but also for you, and to share this knowledge with other people, because there's only so much I can do in spreading out this message, and I really do need the help of you guys. So it means a lot to me, and I know it's going to mean a lot to someone else that might be able to watch this video that's on your own thread that hasn't had the opportunity to see anything else that I've been talking about recently on that. So going back onto pacis, our favorite topic. So when to ditch the pacifier, right? There's no magic age. Simple, right? I know. Weird. But there is no magic age when to ditch it. You can do it when they're young, you can do it when they're a toddler. It really becomes a convenience factor for most parents because, let me put it in, they're quiet, it calms them down, and then I don't have to deal with it up until tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, then tomorrow comes, and then tomorrow, and you're always having another day, and it's like a cycle going on and on and on. So anywhere between the ages of 8 to 18 months, there's object permanence that starts to form. And what that simply means is that if the Paci isn't literally in front of your child's face, then it doesn't exist. They don't know that it's there, right? And that's what happens between that time frame. Younger than that, it's easier to eliminate it as well. So once they're between age of 8 to 18 months, it gets a little bit harder because that's when object permanence starts to form. Under 8 months of age, it's easier, but again, you can still use a pacifier because it's just comforting for infants to use that, and plus they're still learning on how to kind of get into their own zone of self-soothing. So a Paci can help them with learning how to self-soothe on that part. Now, if they're a toddler, if they're 18 months plus, it's more of a routine that has kind of been ingrained in, and now you're dealing with lots of behaviors because they're little people at this point, right? So you're dealing with their behavioral features, with their behavioral attributes, and that's when you really need to start doing a lot of heavy duty coaching when it comes to sleep training for tots on that part. Karen, you're guilty of this. We're all guilty of something. It's okay. So to continue, how do we take the Paci away, right? I think this is what you guys were waiting so long for me to talk about. Now, getting rid of the pacifier under certain ages, it's easier than others, right? Just like sleep training, it's for some kids it's a little easier when they're younger, because the older that they are, then you're dealing with their behavior, you're dealing with their attitudes, you're dealing with a lots of associations that might start to form. When they're younger, they're just forming, they're just being molded into the way that they sleep, and you want to make sure that you're creating the proper healthy foundation right from the start. So like I was mentioning, pacifiers do help when they're younger, and then the older that they are, it can be turned into an association, into a crutch or something of that sort of nature. Hey Jessica, hi Patricia, thanks guys for joining. So hey Viana, so everyone that's joining on right now, we're talking about pacifiers. I went through a lot of different stuff already, so feel free to please watch the replay on that. And I'm continuing on right now with how to take away the pacifier. How do we get rid of the Paci, right? So under 18 months of age, honestly, there's so many creative ways that you can go about this, but the best way, the best way, and the easiest, literally, is just cold turkey. And doing cold turkey, for some parents, it might sound really harsh, because then you have to listen to your little one cry, and you have to go through a lot of different points on how to calm them down, right? But remember what I said about the object permanence? So that starts to form around 8 to 18. Now, if you get rid of the pacifier around that time frame, it shouldn't really be that difficult. It can be maybe 1 to 3 days of on and off intense crying, but what you really want to do is make sure of 2 things. One is your child's schedule is complementing and it's synchronized with their biological rhythms, meaning their internal sleep clock. That's very, very important. Knowing when to put your baby down to sleep, you can totally avoid even using the need for a pacifier, because that pacifier by that age has become more of a want, that they want it. It's not a need. They don't need it like they did when they were an infant. They just want it in order to help them fall asleep. It's their soothing prop, right? So when they are older, they don't really need it anymore. They just want it to help them go to sleep. So creating a proper schedule is very important to do that, because when you're placing your little one down at their peak times of when melatonin hits, which is their sleep hormone, you can completely alleviate any type of need for giving them a prop to help them go to sleep. The other factor is making sure that when they are being put to bed, that if they do have an association, you are helping them to go to sleep in a beautiful, safe, and healthy manner that you feel confident in utilizing any type of a method that there is. They have so many different approaches that you can go with this. Main thing is you need to complement your child's behavior and your parental philosophy when you are implementing a method. That's very, very important. So if you are doing cold turkey, which is really the easiest way to do it, and I've had so many successes with that when you just take it out of the whole context, meaning if your little one is needing it and you became the replugger for nighttime, once you get rid of that pacifier and you don't show it to them anymore, it's literally like 3 days, but you're implementing other techniques to help them soothe and go into the transition of sleep. I don't mean that you pull it out and that's it, and you close the door and you say peace and go to sleep and you figure it out on your own. No, that's not what we're here for. That's not why we're parents. We're here to guide our little ones. We're here to be mentors to them. We're here to help them grow to be wonderful people, and we want to provide the proper sleep nutrition for them, which is the foundation for everything, right? So when you are eliminating something, you need to include something else, but in a positive aspect. So if you're taking away that crutch that they have, that association to help them go to sleep, which is a pacifier, you need to replenish that with something else, and you want whatever that is that you're replenishing it with to be healthy and positive and reinforcing, right? For us as parents, the hardest part is to stay consistent and persistent when it comes to sleep, especially when it comes to sleep training. The reason for that is because we work 24 hours a day practically. You know, we're parents, we have our own careers. Even if you're a stay-at-home parent, you're still working. It's not like we get days off, you know. And when you come home, or if you are home and it's bedtime, some of us can even feel anxiety when the sun starts to dim and you're like, oh my God, I have to approach bedtime and it's going to be another hour to 2 hours of me rocking, feeding, whatever you have to do to put them to sleep. And that's what we don't want. We want bedtime to be as peaceful as possible, as soothing as possible. Hey Anna, thanks for joining. So with the pacifier, it's very important that when you're taking it away, that you're implementing and you're giving something back, right? Now, the other part is, if for under 18 months, is that if you need to help them to find a better soothing technique. That's what I was mentioning too. And then keep using that during the nighttime. Pacifiers, I usually recommend for parents to use those mainly towards nighttime. So if they are using it during the day and they're awake and they're just plopping it into their mouth and they're chilling, you know, they're hanging out, I wouldn't advise that, because then it just becomes a piece of them. You know, you want to use that in specific entities. So I would start with, if your little one doesn't use it when they're awake, keep it strictly for sleeping purposes, for naps and for bedtime. Now, if your little one is using the pacifier when they're awake and it's a way that they are calming themselves down, I would secure it to a specific location. So it would be, for an example, we only use the pacifier in the bedroom, or we only use the pacifier when we are in the car driving, then you can use it. Outside of these areas, we don't use the pacifier. And you have to be consistent on it. You have to be persistent on it. Kids thrive off consistency. If they see that there's not a straight story, that there's kind of like a leeway going through it, they're going to call you out on it, and then all hell will break loose. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are staying as consistent as possible, and we're giving our little ones a straight story. Being boring, you know, just tell them how it's going to be and stick with it, and that's it. Once they get used to it, and there's a lot of consistency flowing through your household, it's going to be easier for them to catch on to stuff and then not to question anything on after that. Cool? So next are toddlers. Now, toddlers, there's so many creative ways, and I'm going to go into that. I've heard everything under the sun on how parents have tried to eliminate the pacifiers. And I'm going to be going on talking about that in a couple of minutes, of the couple of popular ones that I had. If you have anything else that I haven't mentioned, feel free to comment on that. But it's going to kind of give you a little smile of the things that I have heard. And some stuff really has worked a lot. The other ones, they were just like trials, but they're kind of funny just to mention them anyway. So for toddlers, you want to do a couple of things. So I wrote down like 4 basic factors that we will want to do. One is you want to prep your child in advance, right? So with toddlers, I always say that you want to tell them what's going to happen next. You don't want to surprise them. They hate surprises, unless it's a birthday party, because then they get presents. But ideally, they don't like surprises. They want everything to be told to them in advance, because they have control over what's happening. And it's easier that way for you too. So if you're planning on eliminating the pacifier, you got to start telling them, you know, we're going to give you 4 more days of having the pacifier. We're going to give you 3 more days of having the pacifier. We're going to give you 2 more days. We're going to give you 1 more day. Tomorrow we're getting rid of the pacifier. And then, you know, you kind of prep them on that. Cool thing is what you can also do is maybe have a calendar and have them X off the days in preparation for them getting rid of the pacifier. Now, I do get asked on this, oh my gosh, Carolina, what if I had a rewards chart and it would help? It depends on your child's personality, because some kids, if you give them rewards, what they're going to want, and they're going to start asking you for other things later on, is what am I going to get in exchange for this? I want something bigger than just a sticker. I want something bigger than just a stamp. You know your child better than anybody else. So if you feel as though a sticker chart or reward chart would help them, then go for it. If you feel as though they're going to be one of those, like a child that's going to say, well, please, that's not enough for me. I want more than that. Take me to Toys R Us so I can pick what I want. If they're going to be like that, no rewards chart for you, because it's going to work against you than with you. Cool? Give me a thumbs up if you guys get that. If anything on that part. Now, next part, second reason for tots is limit the use during the day to just sleeping alone, just like it is for the younger kids. So you only want to keep the pacifier strictly for sleeping. So it's either for naps or for bedtime. Two of those aspects. The third reason is don't offer it. Easy, right? You're probably saying, Carolina, that's common sense. No, not really. You don't want to offer it to them. And what I mean by that is some kids don't ask for it, but they might make a whimper, they might make a sound, they might, start getting like antsy and start whining, and then we run automatically to get the pacifier. Oh my God, where's the pacifier? Where's the pacifier? And you have like 50 million of them. They're scattered everywhere. So all you have to do is reach your arm out and you grab one right away, right? And then you hand it to them. But did they ask for it? Think about it. Did they actually ask for the pacifier? Most of the time they don't. But what do? We plug it in. We become the replugger. So listen, be patient. Don't jump into conclusions and think, oh my God, I gotta run and get that pacifier because they're whiny. They might not need it. You can distract them with something else. And distract is like kind of like a harsh word for it. You can get them involved in something different. For an example, reading a book, playing blocks, playing tag, take them outside. You can do coloring, anything really that's entertaining for your child. You can dance, turn on music. That's nice. That's nicely distractible to do that. Who doesn't like dancing? Just, have fun with them. And you will start to notice that they're going to start to forget the need for the pacifier. Because what happens is when they become whiny, when they become clingy, when they become afraid of certain things, they look for pieces that comfort them. And what you want to do is to take away that need for that object and replace it with something beautiful and positive, right? So spending time and creating memories with your little one is beautiful and it is positive. And that's something that you can do to get away from the Paci. Okay, cool. And last one is being patient and being totally firm. So again, with toddlers, you need to really stay consistent and persistent when you are implementing anything. I'm not just talking about pacifiers. I'm talking about sleep training. I'm talking about when they start going to school, with homework, with everything in general. Is you need to be very patient with your kids, as we already know that now. And you have to stay persistent and consistent with whatever you are implementing. Just stay strong and be firm. It's hard for me too sometimes, but my husband kind of gets me back into the zone of it. We all have our moments, but you want to make sure that you are providing your child the best resources as possible. Yeah, that's him, that he just like that. So now, to go on to our last part and the finale. I'm pretty sure that this is what you guys were waiting for, right? The creative ways and how to get rid of the pacifier. Now, I have seven ways that I wanted to talk about today and how to get rid of it. And they are all from the most kookiest to the most realistic that you can use, right? So the first one is your child can just say bye-bye to the Paci, and that's it. Once that's gone, you don't give it back to them. That's cold turkey, and you implement something else to help them with falling asleep. Second one, this is quite creative. You can go to the zoo, especially since it's beautiful outside now. Spring, summer's gonna be hitting soon. You guys really want to go out and make a day out of it. spruce them up, right? If this is an infant, well, not an infant, but if they're like around 8 to 18 months or a toddler, totally can take them to the zoo. They would love it, and they would recognize, the animals and stuff like that. So the reason for that is you would go to the zoo, you would prep your little one beforehand that they are a big girl, or a big boy, and tell them, that there are going to be lots of baby animals that are going to be there. And some of them don't have pacifiers and that they need them. So how about we pick one animal that you like, and maybe if you feel okay, you can exchange or you can give your pacifier to them. Would that be okay? You always want to end with a question like that because it keeps them in control, and you're allowing your little one to give what they love to something else or to someone else. So when you arrive there, for an example, let's say you're at the cage of where the monkeys are, right? You pick out a monkey, you say, hey, look at that beautiful monkey over there, the little baby one. I think that he needs a pacifier. What do you think? And then your little one most likely will say yeah, because it's a cute little baby animal. Then you find a zookeeper. He hands over the pacifier. You call it a day. Done. Pacifier finished. Never hear about it again. If it's mentioned, then you will remind your little one, oh, don't you remember you gave the pacifier to the little monkey? I've had so many successes with that little story because it's a whole memory that you're creating, and it's not quick. There's preparation involved, there's creativity involved, there's a connection between your little one and an animal that's involved. Plus, he's choosing or she's choosing to hand over their pacifier, which is so important to them, but they're willing to give it for a better cause. Like, that's beautiful, right? So that's 2. The third one is you can exchange the pacifier for just a new toy. And again, knowing your child's behavior. All of these tips that I'm giving you today, you have to know how your child will react. Nobody knows your little one better than you do. So these are just kind of generalized tips right now, but you can kind of make them a little more spruced up depending on how your little one is. Add some oomph into it if you want. Fourth one is, just like we have a tooth fairy, we have a pacifier fairy. So you can have your pacifier, tell your little one that I think it's time to let it go and to give it to other babies that need it. And what they'll do is they'll put it under their pillow, say sweet dreams, and then the next day they'll get a dollar bill. Just like how the tooth fairy works, same thing. But I don't know what's going on lately because I think there's inflation going on because our tooth fairy is quite expensive. So make sure that your child kind of knows the whole part about what's going on with that. And that's something fun to do too, to talk to them about the pacifier fairy. The 5th thing is this is fun. And this is something really, like I heard this from a mom that I was working with. So it was really fun that she was talking about this. So she said to stick the pacifier, go to one of those Build-A-Bear workshops and get them to put the pacifier inside the bear where they sew it up and then they take it home, and that bear, they can still, if your child is so attached to it and it's really taking them time to kind of adjust and not have the pacifier with them that much, they can still have it, but it's just going to be in another form. It's going to be in the form of a teddy bear. And that's one creative way, and it has helped some kids to take away that dependency, that need from the pacifier. The other one is cut the nipple and say it's broken. This works for some kids it doesn't work because they might be really smart and then they'll just say give me a new one. Or I've had other parents that put stuff on the nipple of the pacifier. They have like stuff on Amazon that you can put on that makes it taste really bad. Some parents put it in like mustard and then they wiped it off and it just tasted gross, and then the child just threw it out and said it was dirty and was nasty. So, they all work. All of these 7 tips work. They just have to depend on which one balances off with your child's behavior. So that's it for tonight. Now, I have an awesome question. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment right below. So let me see. Lorelai has, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Okay, my daughter is 2.5 and only gets it for nap and bedtime. We eliminated it in the car a while ago. My daughter asks for it all day and I won't give it to her. She only has one that we named it and it's her friend. I'm so nervous to get rid of it, but I know I need to start. She's very strong-willed and I have a 6-month-old that has one, so she sees hers with, okay, so she sees her sister with hers. So main thing is you have to really stay consistent and persistent, because a 2.5-year-old, once you give it to her, after she's going to continuously keep asking you, that one time you'll give it to her, that's it. She's going to want it and demand it every other time. So I give you props. I applaud you for staying very persistent and staying strong and not giving it to her when she doesn't need it. Use one of those other creative pieces that I was mentioning it to you about, the zoo, or maybe she can give her pacifiers to her sister as a graduation, right? And then take pictures of it. Make it fun. Actually make it like a graduation ceremony. Get like one of those hats with the little tassels, take pictures of it, and then have her flaunt it, in preschool for your family members. Make a big deal out of it. Like kind of when we have potty training and they go through the whole potty training process and then you make a whole huge deal out of it. This is big for some kids. Getting rid of that pacifier is huge and it should be celebrated. It's a huge milestone for most children. So that would be really fun for you to try also, Lorelai. Sorry about that. Hey, Olga. I hope that helps you, honey. Let me know in the comments, or you could message me later on to tell me which tip have you tried and what has helped you. Hey, Carolina. I know you mentioned that you took it away from your 2-year-old. What technique worked for you? Cold turkey. We didn't go to the zoo. I actually didn't know about that technique until like a couple of years ago. I literally just took it away. And I instilled a couple of other techniques. He did have the proper sleep foundation already intact, so he really didn't need it. It was literally, I think, if I remember correctly, it was maybe an hour of on and off crying with me helping him going back to sleep. I was in the room with him and he was just whining. It wasn't really crying. He was more whining that he needed it because he couldn't figure out how to put himself back to sleep. So I was helping him in going back to sleep in creating a new soothing technique for him. And that's it. Just got rid of it and I never mentioned it again. I made sure I got rid of all of the extra pacifiers. We got rid of bottles we got rid of like a year or a year and a half. Can't quite remember because it was a while ago. But then pacifiers lingered. So I kept those, but I only kept them for sleeping purposes. And then I just got rid of them. Like I told him, you're a big boy and you don't need them anymore. And that's it. And he understood. So the hardest part is when you're telling them during the day, they'll say, yeah, I'm going to get rid of it. Yeah, mommy, I'm going to get rid of it. I'm a big boy. I can do it. And then when nighttime hits, everything that you've spoken about kind of like goes out the window. They don't remember anything. It's like they have amnesia. So what you want to do is reinstate that and just stick to it. So as long as you're, firm and you stay consistent and persistent and you have a plan. I don't want you ripping it out and giving cold turkey without a plan, without a strict plan and how you're going to help your little one go back to sleep. What are you going to do when they wake up in the middle of the night crying, looking for that pacifier? Because that's going to happen. So a pacifier is considered another crutch, another association, right? Same thing as with rocking or with breastfeeding to sleep. Those are associations. And there are gradual ways that you can get away from those and to eliminate them and to create the healthy foundation. Pacifiers are huge because they are just, literally starting from when the baby is a newborn, right? So they're just part of the culture, and we just plug it right in at any type of sound that kids make, try and calm them down. So we shouldn't do that. And you really need to be just aware of your little one and their behavior and how they would react to certain techniques that you would use, and just make sure that you're complementing the best one for their behavior on that. I hope that answered your question, Olga. So are there any more questions, guys? Let's see, what time is it? Oh, cool. Any more questions? We had lots of people watching this tonight. I hope this was informative to you, and I hope you like this video. Please share it, and if you're watching the replay, love you and love all my viewers. Thank you so much. And if you do have any questions after I shut off the video for tonight, still feel free to comment, and I'll be able to respond to you later. Okay? Sweet dreams, everyone. Bye.